Chook, broadcasting live from Johnny Chook's Home and Hardware. Going to be here for the next 30 minutes. We're going to have a very special show today, but let me tell you where we're located. We're at 2361 Northwest Military Highway, which is about 2 miles north of Loop 410, right past the light at Lock Hill, Selma. The store is going to be open till 6:30 today, and then tomorrow 11 to 5. Anything that we talk about today, of course, we have here at the store. And since I said today is a very special show, let me introduce you to my guest, Herb Whitehouse. Hi, Herb.
Hi, Trudy.
And Herb and I have been friends for quite a little while. Yeah.
20 years.
20 years, yes. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Herb. Let's see, are you an electrician?
I am not an electrician.
Let's see, are you a plumber?
No, not a plumber.
Okay. So are you a painter?
Yes, I'm a painter.
And he's not just any painter, folks. This gentleman has been in business for how long, Herb?
I've been in personal business. I've been in 43 years.
43 years. That's a long time.
Yes, it is.
That's a long time. So you got started when you were like, what, 12?
I wish I could say that. I got started when I was 18 painting in the neighborhood. My father was a house painter, and so I had some basic skills that I learned from him, and he would show me little things, but he did not want my brother and I to be painters, which we ended up being painters. He wanted us to be school teachers.
But didn't you get a degree in education anyway?
I have a degree in education. I taught public school for 9 years in California, and then I taught college and university in Oklahoma, 1 year full-time and then 12 years adjunct faculty.
Oh, but the painting was in the blood, right?
Yes, it was. My family, at one time, they don't anymore, owned the largest painting corporation in North America. And that's been sold 3 to 4 times now, but it was a big operation out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, well, what I want to do, I think I told y'all last week that this is going to be Professionals Month. And so each week I'm going to have someone come on like her, but in different kind of trades. And we're going to kind of pick their brain, and they're going to tell us all these little tidbits that you would love to know. And Herb's going to share it right here. But I want to tell you right now, if you don't want to do it yourself, Herb is a great painter, and I'm going to give out his phone number. I'm going to give it out now, and then I'm going to give it out at the end of the show. But if you miss that and you need someone to paint inside the house, outside the house, you also do decks and fences, right?
Decks and fences, furniture. Yes.
Yes. In fact, he just got through showing me a beautiful piece of furniture that he painted. And so if it's in a paint can and needs a brush, Herb is your person to call. And so his number is 918-914-9318, and his name is Herb Whitehouse. And I love what you have on the bottom of your card. You said, the bitter taste of poor quality lingers long after what?
The sweetness of a low bid.
Yeah. And I think I tell everybody that. I'll tell them, hey, get 3 bids, but don't go with the low bid. And that is very true when it comes to painting. All right, so right now, also, we are live on Facebook, and so this is a great time to jump on board and watch. If you have any questions, we might not be able to answer them while we're on Facebook, but we will definitely get back in touch with you. And I think Herb is going to stay for maybe 20-30 minutes after the show, so if you have a question, if you are like driving around and went, I want to talk to him today, just get on the way over here, and he'll be here for a few minutes afterwards. Now, we are also going to do a sale on paint. Since Herb is here, we're going to put paint on sale. If you buy a gallon of paint, it's going to be $10 off. It will be a 5-gallon limit, okay? And it's only going to last, this paint sale is only going to last until next Saturday. We're also going to do 20% off of all sundries. So if you wanted to start paint And you could buy the paint, you could call Herb, and he would be happy to do the labor for you. So Herb, let's talk about some projects, okay? Because there's some projects, I mean, I talk about paint all the time, and Dad used to tease, and he would say it's always a great day to paint. Maybe today would not be a great day to paint outdoors?
It would be a horrible day to paint outdoors. It's very questionable to do any work outside today.
What about indoors?
Indoors, yes, you can. Today would be a good. Actually, today would be a good day because it's not hot.
Right.
And it's cool, and it's a good day to do work and chores around the house. Usually, I have a procedure where I don't do jobs during the summer because it's too hot. I'm miserable all the time. So, and I mean that from temperature.
Okay, so today would be a good day to paint on the inside of the house. And so what would be, like, if you were wanting to paint on the inside of your house and save yourself maybe a little bit of money, what would be a job that you would say, hey, that would be good for a person that's not a professional to be able to tackle?
Take, for instance, most people want to paint a bedroom. One of the things that you want to do is, first of all, is move furniture around.
Yeah.
Either you can do it several ways, move it completely out of the room, which makes it very nice, or move it all in the middle and cover it with plastic. And then your beginning, your paint job should be cleaning your woodwork.
Okay, that's okay. So let's talk about that, because there's several ways to clean your woodwork. I know you and I talked about that peso, which I don't talk about enough. What is peso?
Peso is a cleaner for woodwork that has been put oil base on it, has had oil base on it, and then you want to repaint it. You need to clean it with peso. Peso softens up the surface that you're going to paint and makes it clean, very clean, and easy to work with. It kind of, in a way, melts a little bit of that hard finish. Especially, you only want to use it with oil-based products, because oil-based was put on back in the, especially the 50s and 60s, have to use something there to bite through that finish, and peso works.
And peso works. So because when you say clean the woodwork, you're trying to prep that so that you can paint it, right?
Yeah, you want to get yourself a surface that's going to be smooth, it's going to be clean, and whatever you put on it's going to adhere to that surface.
Okay, so a lot of people get real confused about painting over oil-based paint, and so let's just try to fix that right now. So can people paint with latex over oil?
They can. There are several ways to do that. If you're normally going to paint over oil-based products, you really need to make sure it's sanded and primed. Now, if you're using, just a lot of people sand it and they don't prime it, they'll paint latex enamel over oil, and they'll wonder, why does it peel so easy? Well, it's not adhering. And we have new products out there, what they're called waterborne latex enamels, and they bite and they work.
Yeah, that's like sticks, right?
Okay, we have, yes, sticks is a perfect example. It's a primer, and it says sticks, it sticks.
It does.
I can just tell you, one time somebody gave me a product from Indonesia, and they wanted it painted. We couldn't get anything to stick on this surface. We had oil-based primer, we used lacquer primer, we used several different types of primers, and nothing could stick. And I brought a paint salesman in, and he told me about this product. And he said, if you put that on, it'll work. And when I saw it was latex, I thought, oh, it's going to peel too. So he said, no, you try it. And we put it on there, and it was amazing. It's the only thing it held. The thing is about sticks, just what it says it is. It sticks on your hands.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yesterday I was doing a project because I had a whole 2 days off in a row. And so I was priming something, and I used the sticks, and I got it on my hands, and I went to go rinse it off. There's no rinsing it off.
No.
There's scrubbing it off, and you take a layer of skin off. But no, but what's nice though is then you never have to worry about your project failing on you if you use a good primer.
If you do, if you use sticks, especially interior work here, you put that on first, guaranteed you're not going to have a failure.
Yeah.
I mean, it works.
Okay.
And my men, when I first told them about them, when I came down here, they didn't believe me. They said nothing stays on oil-based products that are latex. I said, okay, we'll put this on, and tomorrow you can take it off. And anyway, we put it on a door jamb, and he came in. I said, you take it off. And he kept trying to scrape it, and he kept said, this is amazing, never heard of this stuff. And I said, well, this is some new technology, and this works, people. This works quite well.
Yeah, they show it all the time. Like if you, when I go up to the National Hardware Show, Coronado and Benmore is up there, and also Indianapolis for the Do It Best show, and they'll show ceramic tile, and you've used it on ceramic tile, and if you try to scrape it off with your fingernail, it doesn't budge. It just does not budge. So, okay, so they'll want to clean the woodwork, they'll need to prep the woodwork, they can prime their woodwork, okay? And then you said to caulk all joints. And that's when I said, you're gonna caulk first?
You should. A lot of people caulk before they do any priming. If you're going to do any priming, you prime first and then you caulk next.
Okay.
And you caulk to fill up any of the voids, any of the crevices between the two types of wood or between wood and wall. And then you spackle and fill any the voids in the walls. And you may do even some spackling on the woodwork that has some dents or some damage to it. But you do that, you prime, and then you put that over, and then you spot prime the patches that you put on, especially on the woodwork. You re-prime those. And then it's ready to put a finish coat.
Okay, so then after that, we are ready to do the walls. Now, let me ask, correct, we're ready to do the walls.
Well, I usually like to do the enamel first, finish all the enamel first,
Okay.
and then go to the walls so I can get straight lines. In other words, I tape off my finished product, and then I can paint my walls, and I get straight lines. Looks like it's very professionally done.
Like there would be any other way. Okay, so
You have they have these.
I have
These are-
cheater tools.
Yeah, they're good for homeowners and so on. And they'll give you straight lines. You can put this against your surface, and you can cut along it, and you get a nice straight line that looks like it's been professionally done.
Yes, and they're called paint shields, and they go to 12 to, I think there's one we have that's 18 inches, and you can just lay them down on your trim work. It lays real easy, and then you can paint, and then you can do it the other way around too. You can lay it on top of your trim work and then paint your walls and not worry about having to go back and touch up this and touch up that. Okay, so we've got our trim work done. Now we're ready to tackle the walls. And don't most people do it the other way around?
Most people do it the other way around. They'll paint the walls, and then they'll do the enamel. And it's fine if you want to do it that way. I think if you're looking for sharp, straight lines and stuff that looks very even, the best way is to do your enamel first and then do your walls. Before you do your walls, then you have to tape it all.
Yeah,
And that's what people don't like. They don't like the extra work in doing the taping.
yeah, prep work.
But the prep work is 60% of the job.
It is, isn't it?
It's-
And a lot of people don't like to do that. It's boring.
Yes, it is. It's boring. It doesn't show anything that you've done.
Right. It gives you no satisfaction at all. But okay, so then they're going to do the walls. So let me just ask you, what kind of finish do you usually like to tell people to do the walls in?
Most of the time I tell people that you put an eggshell finish on their wall. The reason is that if you get a scuff, it can clean off. If if you use like white Ajax or something, or white cleanser, you can clean it up and it won't show any marks. But if you put flat paint and you scuff it and you try to wash it, you can see where you washed.
Yeah, it loses a finish right
Yeah,
there.
it loses the finish. And the other thing that it did when I started doing this about 40 years ago, it replaces oil wall paint, because during the early 60s they used oil wall paint, oil flats, and oil flats really look good, and they have a low sheen to them, and eggshell replicates that finish, and it makes a very good looking finish.
And so, because I know a lot of people have asked, well, can I put satin on the walls, or can I put, the higher the gloss, you get a tougher finish that also shows any kind of imperfection.
Yes, it does. Glosses show where there's, poor preparation, poor drywall work. It shows up many things, and also it looks like a shiny toy.
Yes, and that's why women put powder on their face, so nothing looks shiny. Yes, okay. All right, so let me tell you where we're located again. We're at 2361 Northwest Military Highway. The phone number here is 210-341-1573. Hey, Jean, and hi, Cindy. Thank you for being part of our Facebook show right now. And if anybody else, you can't be listening on WOAI right now because it's just all about the severe weather that we are having. But we are on Facebook. If you're looking at Facebook right now, jump on and watch. And we don't get to have professionals on the show that much anymore, and I was very lucky that Herb said, yes, I'll be on the show with you. So let's see, let's talk about now something that a homeowner can do, but what's something a homeowner should not tackle?
I think the homeowner, when they will spend all kinds of money, carpet work and everything, and spend all kinds of money, and then they'll want to do the painting themselves when they're not very adept at doing this all the time. And that is cabinets, plantation shutters, special pieces of furniture. These don't work out well, and they would be much better to hire that done. So cabinets take a lot of time if they're done right, and you need a lot of prep work, needs a lot of sanding, they need a lot of pre-work before you can even think about painting. And it takes, you're talking, especially a new cabinet, you're talking a minimum of 3 coats, 1 coat primer, but usually when we do it, we use 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of finish, and then we get the finish that we're wanting to achieve.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about why you want to put that many coats on a cabinet, because I've had a lot of people say, I put 1 coat on and the color looks great, it looks strong. I said, yes, but the minute that you need to clean that cabinet, and in bathrooms and kitchens, that's where we get kitchens, you get tons of oil in the air just from cleaning. So that last coat is a
guaranteed coat. The primer, really, I should back up a little bit here. Talking 2 coats of primer. First coat of primer basically raises the grain if it's new cabinets. I'm talking about new cabinets now.
Okay.
It raises the grain. That has to be sanded off and made smooth. Then priming over that gives it the ability to adhere and to hold out the finished product. And when you put this finished product on, and then you put the second coat of finish on there, you got a hard finish that can be cleaned, can be wiped down, and it doesn't chip, and it doesn't fade away. Because at 1 coat, you can, if you look closely, you'll be able to see almost through it, no matter what. The finish probably will not cover that well.
No, and a lot of people, that's why you yourself usually, this should not be a job for just the homeowner. Those cabinets and things like this, you're not going to go back and paint a cabinet every 2 or 3 years because of a change in color that's real popular. Your walls, yes, okay? And it's easy to, I don't want to say it's easy, but you can throw up a wall of paint where if you're going to redo cabinets, it's a lot of work. And just like Herb said, it's something that a pro should do. And so let me ask you this. What do you usually like to use on cabinets that holds up well?
I'm old school. I've been in this longer now. I usually like to use oil-based products.
And that's hard to find, isn't it?
Yeah, it's harder to find, and a lot of people don't like it. They don't like the smell, and the painters, they don't like the cleanup because they've got to use thinner to clean their brushes up, and it takes more time. But technology has come along and brought us some excellent products, and I don't mind using, especially if I'm using spraying cabinet doors and so on. I use this product by Benjamin Moore called Advance. Excellent product. It when it's done right, it looks like you come off a factory. It's smooth in there. It looks like a car finish. It's a beautiful finish.
Remember, I don't know, you haven't been a Coronado or the old Negley paint company as long as I have, but Cabinet Coat.
Excellent product. In fact, I know of several companies here in town that push Cabinet Coat more than they do Advance.
Yes.
And I've used Cabinet Coat, and 2 months ago on a set of cabinets for somebody. Beautiful, absolutely worked good, looked good, and it finished great.
It was the first paint we had ever had that would almost give you a sprayed look.
Yeah, you don't see any lat marks, you don't see any stipple marks if you're using a roller. It flows out very good, and it's really it's quite easy to use.
It is, but the only problem with Cabinet Coat back then, you could only do it in lighter colors. And then Ben Moore comes up and they come up with this product called Advance, and you can do it in any color. And that's then all of a sudden, like navy blue was popular for cabinets, and in fact, Hail Navy. If I told you I mixed that one time, I mixed it 100 times.
It's on my front door.
Yes, it's a beautiful navy, and then all of a sudden everybody was switching from Cabinet Coat to Advance. Now Cabinet Coat now can do any color, but Advance is really good for trim work.
It's good for trim work, it's good for cabinets, it's good for vanity, it's excellent for furniture.
Yes.
And I have to say this, if you go use the proper steps, the stuff doesn't chip. And that's what you're, especially over old pieces of furniture, if you do it right and handle it right, it doesn't chip. Well, you know, you'd have to take a hammer to chip it, but it really holds up well.
Yes, it really does. Okay, so let's talk a little bit, because we didn't mention it. Flood. Most people think of Flood, they think of fences and stuff like that. But Flood makes a product. One of them is called Floetrol, and one of them is called Penetrol. Why don't you tell people what that's all about?
Well, first I'll start with the Flood product called Penetrol. Penetrol is an additive that you put in oil-based enamels. It extends the drying time. It allows the paint to flow and even out a little better. It takes a little longer to dry, and it's an excellent product when you're using oil-based enamel, especially if it's hot. This really helps you to work your material where you don't have lap marks with your brush or with your roller. This stuff is a very, very good product.
It kind of extends the open time.
That's right.
Of the paint.
It keeps what painters call a wet edge. The other thing about Penetrol, this is an excellent rust inhibitor. You put it on metal.
Yeah, you told me that. I had never heard of that before.
Yeah, when I was first in painting, and the foreman I worked for was one of the lead guys at Buckingham Palace, and we were doing some fence work down on the beach.
Y'all just skipped right through that. He's going to say it one more time. Who was your?
This guy that I work, he was my foreman out in Southern California, and we were working down at the Newport Beach, and we were going to do this wrought iron. And I said something about getting zinc oxide to put on this. He said, no, we use this penetrol. I said, well, what is this? And he was telling me, this is a product we used in England when he worked at Buckingham Palace. He said, we stopped rust with this stuff.
And they have a lot of wet weather.
Yeah, and they do. And anyway, I started using that was back in 1969, 70 when I started using this. I still to this day, this is what I do to stop rust. And it works. And it acts as like a coat of paint. And you know, when you put zinc oxide on metal, it's a coat of paint. When you put this on metal, it's a coat of paint, except you don't have to always use a brush. You can use a rag to put it on with. It does work, and it works well.
Okay, so tell us, so flood penetrol, mainly for oil base.
Yes.
And then Floetrol.
Floetrol is a product that you use in latex enamels. Like if I was using Advanced and I was working and the temperature got up into the 90s, I would add a little bit into that paint in order to extend its life. In other words, make it flow a little bit longer. I would avoid getting lap marks in my paint. This stuff does work, and I've used it quite a bit during the summertime.
Okay, so that's super good. So now I'm going to ask you a personal question.
Okay.
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 Okay. How much do I have? About 30 seconds? 30 seconds. Well, then I don't have time for my personal question. I'm going to have... All right, so let me give Herb's phone number out again. His number is 918-914-9318. That's his phone number. If you're thinking about having someone come and paint, I cannot suggest anybody any better.
Thank you, Trudy. That's very kind of you.
Whitehouse. He's my favorite painter, and so we always have a little thing here that we say. It's always a great day to paint. But tell them real quick what your dad would say, something about if you wanted to add something to...
I would tell my father had been in painting his whole life. He was the foreman during the war at the shipyards for the painters. And one time I was telling him about this penetrol works really good and stuff, and he would say things like this to me: if it was any good, it'd be in the paint.
Dads always have got the bottom line, don't they? All right, that's it for this week, folks. We'll see you next week. The phone number here at the store, 210-341-1573. And Herb, thank you.
Thank you, Trudy, for having me.
All right, bye, y'all.